College Board. For decades, it's been an institution of the American education system. Its main product, the SAT, has set the standard for the college application process for over 5 decades. And for high schoolers, this process is a rite of passage that they and all their peers must go through. However, few may realize it, but the College Board, despite its status as a nonprofit, operates as a near monopoly that pulls in over $1 billion in revenue a year. This includes $100 million in untaxed surplus due to an elastic demand of tests and $400 million invested with hedge funds and private equity. College Board has spawned a multi-billion-dollar industry, and despite the fact that it supposedly exists to give students a fair chance to compete for college admissions, regardless of income, it has increasingly excluded lower-income students as well as racial minorities. Criticisms and questions of fairness around the College Board and the tests it administers have been increasingly common as standardized testing continues to grow and mutate beyond its intended purpose. So let's take a look at just what effect the College Board has and how we ended up here in the first place. Founded in 1900, the College Board was created to expand access to higher education. Today, the membership association is made up of over 6,000 of the world's leading educational institutions, and it's dedicated to promoting excellence and equity in education. That is pulled from the College Board's own website, but equity was never really their main concern. The organization was founded by 15 elite East Coast schools, including Princeton and Columbia, who wanted to increase their enrollment from non-East Coast upper-class students. The first SAT test, given in 1926, was designed by Princeton psychologist Carl Brigham, an avid supporter of the eugenics movement, which advocated selective breeding to eliminate traits like low intelligence. This ideology argued that fitness and intelligence were hereditary, and unsurprisingly, many eugenics, like Brigham, believed black people to be intellectually inferior. So the first AP exams, which were adapted from an intelligence test given to soldiers in World War I, were made not to measure the test taker's knowledge, but inherent smarts.
Despite initial claims that the test would not be possible to study for, in 1936, a young entrepreneur named Stanley Kaplan started offering test prep classes in his parents' basement. This small operation would grow into the massive Kaplan Test Prep and help spawn what today is a multi-billion-dollar industry based on preparing for the SAT. As a result, critics have increasingly accused the SAT as unfairly giving an advantage to wealthy families who have the means to pay for such test prep, and the statistics back it up. Data from the Forbes magazine article, How Admission Tests Discriminate Against Low-Income and Minority Student Admissions at Selective Colleges, states that the average SAT score can dramatically increase with household income. Those making anywhere from 0 to 50K score around a 970 on average, and those whose households make 100K or more roughly score about a 1090 on average. According to the National Center for Education Statistics, the average SAT score is a 1060. White students earn an above average score of 1114, while black students earn a below average score of 964, as well as Hispanic and Latino students who earn below average score of 978. This is the result of generations of exclusionary housing, education, and economic policy. Public schools in many neighborhoods with large black populations are underfunded, inadequately staffed, and ill-equipped to provide the same quality of secondary education that is provided and offered in predominantly white suburban school districts. According to Anthony Carnival, director of Georgetown University Center on Education and the Workforce, the SAT is basically a dodge. It provides a shiny scientific cover for a system of inequality that guarantees that rich kids go to the most selective college. Makes all that sound like science when it's not. It's true that when you add it all up, the economic burden of standardized testing adds to the stress of college admissions. Test takers find themselves paying $12 to send scores to additional schools, a $31 fee to rush scores, $18 to see questions answered wrong, and $30 to change test date, which busy high school students often have to do. This is all on top of whatever families may pay for test prep themselves, cost that goes as high as $1,000 an hour. Much of College Board's transformation into the modern money machine that it is today was heightened by CEO David Coleman. Coleman, a Yale graduate with degrees from Oxford and Cambridge, has been the CEO of College Board since 2012. One of Coleman's main initiatives was an attack on the increasingly popular ACT, the SAT's sole competitor. The SAT was revamped to a 1,600-point scale, and the new test inflated these scores as well. For example, a 1,300 on the new test was determined to be equivalent to a 1,230 on the old test, a 70-point bump. All this was done to make the SAT more appealing to test takers. Coleman's final blows to ACT came in the form of deep discounts on statewide contracts. His staff began lowballing bids to ACT's customers. In 2015, for example, the College Board won a 3-year contract with the state of Michigan at a price of $15.4 million, less than the ACT's bid. By 2018, College Board's new SAT had won 10 state contracts, including 3 formerly held by the ACT. Thanks to Coleman and his new SAT, College Board was once again the market leader and could remain operating as a near monopoly. For his services, Coleman was paid a compensation of $2 million, one of the highest salaries for any nonprofit CEO across the nation. Let's talk about the College Board's biggest moneymaker, the advanced placement testing. The AP program has ballooned since the College Board took it over in 1955 and accounted for a staggering $483 million of revenue in 2018. While originally AP tests were offered in 11 subjects, that market has expanded to nearly 40 today. More tests offered means more tests taken, and from 2005 to 2008, only 500,000 students took 3 or more AP tests. Just a decade later, that number has more than doubled to 1.1 million, a staggering amount of growth and additional revenue. Similar to the SATs, APs are packed with fees. Tests cost $95 to register, as well as $15 to send that score to a college. Registering late costs an additional $40, and should a test be canceled at any time, only $45 would be refunded. However, unlike the SAT, many students take multiple tests at a time, raising their individual price even higher. More than 5 million AP tests are given across the country every year. Much like other standardized tests, Black and Latino students do significantly worse than the average student. According to the College Board's own figures, in 2019, 68% of Black students and 58% of Latino students who took an AP test did not earn a passing score of 3 or higher on the exam's 5-point scale. The failure rate for all students was only 41%. However, despite its flaws and exorbitant prices, the test is widely regarded as a measure of student success and is one of the most heavily weighted factors on a student's transcripts for college admissions.
Unfortunately, resource-thin public colleges can't always afford a holistic application approach. SAT scores are often used to calculate merit aid, which is needed most by students who are systemically set up for failure. The SAT goes past admissions. Consulting firms like McKinsey ask job applicants to submit SAT scores. It's proven that neighborhood schools' SAT scores even affect the home prices. Standard & Poor's takes SAT levels into account when it issues bond ratings to colleges and universities. The sad truth is that the College Board has failed in its mission. Despite classifying as a nonprofit and stating that they are committed to equity and excellence in education, their product benefits middle-upper-class white students far more than lower-income minority students. Their claim of being a nonprofit disguises the huge revenue they pull in daily. The company has operated like a ruthless corporation, attacking their competition to remain a near monopoly and expanding their product line while tacking on fee after fee to see their profits rise. For the College Board to fulfill their own self-stated mission of equity in education, we should be trying to level the playing field by providing historically disenfranchised people opportunities to build wealth, rather than retrofitting test results around inequality. Only through these actions can we actually make testing equal.